God, 300 days. All right, folks, burnout. It's a real concern for a lot of employees. More people are struggling to fully disconnect even while on vacation leave because some bosses don't understand what vacation means. But that's another topic for another time. Questions are also being raised about whether Jamaica's vacation leave laws have become outdated. So this morning we're exploring that conversation. Attorney at law Nicole Taylor specializes in employment and industrial relations. You are with Myers?
Yes,
Fletcher
I am.
Gordon. Good morning.
Good morning.
Give you a bit of an accent. Did you study here? Were you born here? Are you a Brit?
I was born in Jamaica, but I lived in England for most of my life, and I've returned to Jamaica about 3 years ago.
Makes sense. Okay, so why this area of law?
Do you know, I kind of fell into this area of law, but I enjoy it. I've always been an advocate for the people, and I think that this area fits me perfectly.
All right, tell me why we're having these discussions at this particular point in time.
Well, our labour laws were enacted about 50 years ago, or over 50 years ago. So I think they're outdated and that we do need some kind of reform. And that's the reason for the kind of discourse that we're having right now.
I work for a company. Can't the company come up with their, I know there are labour laws, don't get me wrong, but couldn't the company come up with, for want of a better phrase, that their own rules type of thing?
Of course they can. The employee and the employer, they can, obviously you have your contract and then you have an agreement. However, our labour law says that you can't contract out of the law. Therefore, even if you have,
Say that again?
you can't contract out of the law. So even if you have a contract and there's provisions in there that are not in adherence with the law, technically it's illegal. And that
No, sir. What you say?
Yeah, that's right.
so that means,
But me signed to it and the company signed to it.
but it's illegal because it's not part of the law. So for example, we have a public holiday coming up soon. Labor Day is coming up soon. And if you have an agreement or in your contract, it says that you can work or you will work on all public holidays, that is actually null and void because our law says that you can't force someone to work on a public holiday. Now, coming up to labour law, you and your employer can have a discussion about whether you want to work and whether you can work, and you can agree to do that. And that's completely legal. However, you can't rely on the contract to say that the employee needs to work.
Default to the law.
Exactly.
So if a company is trying to hire me and the standard 2-week vacation package doesn't work for me and we negotiate that I get 6 weeks.
That's absolutely fine.
So it can default back to law if the contractor say you need to come in 1 out of those 6 weeks that we gave you.
So I'm not understanding.
All right, good. That makes no sense. Thank God. What are the standard laws now across the board? What generally obtains?
Generally speaking, up to 10 years, people have 2 weeks vacation. After 10 years, people, you're allowed 3 weeks vacation. Generally speaking, people do take their vacation in as they want it, in the sense that the law actually only allows for you to take your vacation in one go or in 2 tranches. However, modern day practice is that people will take vacation, for example, 1 and 2 days. So for example, using Labour Day coming up again, if you wanted to take, for example, a longer holiday, so you have 4 days instead of 3, you could do that. For example, you could take the Friday off, so you have the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But if you look at the law, it actually says that you're only allowed to take vacation in 1 or 2 tranches. So if you were only allowed 2 weeks, then likely you would only do that in two 1-week periods or 2 weeks in one go.
Which area of the law you think is outdated, or all of it?
To be honest, I think most of it. Most of it doesn't reflect modern day practice in how employees...
Remote work now and everything has changed.
Exactly. So for example, with remote work, as we've become more digitized, modern workplaces, you know, you'll be on vacation leave, you'll be getting emails, and employees feel that they need to respond to those emails even though they're on vacation leave. And other countries, they've now got laws where they kind of prohibit that. So you have the right to disconnect without getting in trouble or there not being any kind of, reprimand for you not replying to emails out of working hours.
Yeah, but Nicole, the boss not going to come to me and say, well, because you take an extra day, I fire you. Him like, because I take the extra day, I'm going to say, I don't like how you've been working over these years, so you have to go home. So we still could get ourselves in trouble if we pretend that we're going to follow the law, even though our company is not following the law, don't?
Not necessarily. The truth is, this area is not being heavily litigated. Employees are not taking their employers to court because
They want to keep a job.
Not only that, many people don't know the law.
Correct.
Okay.
Many
And
people don't
employers
know.
know that people don't know the
Okay.
law, and so
And that's why it's important to, when you're making your contracts, ensuring that you've had legal advice so that your contract is proper and something that can be enforced, and just knowing the policies and knowing the law, basically.
what about the timeline? Because there's something so wrong to me about working 52 weeks and getting 2 off. Like when we say outdated, is that something that we're looking to update as well?
I'm not the person to ask if that's something we're looking to update, but is that something that should be updated? I think so.
But-
2 weeks in a
Yeah, but I'm trying to find out if a lot of this hinges on what you agree to. As Sim said, we sign a contract. So if the contract say you can only take 1 week for the year and I want the job and I sign the contract, I can't do nothing to the boss after that because I signed the contract.
Of course.
Or you're suggesting that I can?
So, as I said, the law allows for 2 weeks up to 10 years. So that is the minimum that you're allowed. But you can contract and you can agree to have more than that. If you don't get that, then that's something that I guess you could go to litigate or you could take further action about. But the law does allow you a minimum of 2 weeks.
Benchmark us, like in other places in the region, maybe even in the world. How do we rank in terms of that baseline of 2 weeks?
This is pretty average.
Is it really?
It is.
The fact that you said it's 50 years ago outdated, should we now be getting 4 weeks every 52 weeks or 3 weeks?
You know what you've been advocating for? Yeah. What have you been advocating for?
About a 2-day week.
A 2-day work week.
No,
Like,
but
3 day.
should that happen? Because I'm still trying to find out why it's outdated. I'm still trying to find that out.
Because people nowadays, they want more flexibility. People want to be able to take leave as they see fit, when they can rest or when they need to rest. It shouldn't be prescribed in the law how you take that rest. And that's the problem that we have. It's too restrictive, it's too rigid, and to be honest, it's archaic.
So let me ask you a question, Nicole. What are most of the cases you see where employees are taking employers to court over this issue?
Specifically vacation leave, upon termination of contracts, people are then taking their employers to court because they said that they have not received their vacation pay. So that's probably the area that I see
What does
mostly.
the law say? If you have vacation days when you are terminated or when you resign, you're to get paid for it? Is that how it works?
That is correct. However, our law says that you're supposed to take vacation leave within the year that it's earned. And you can, in your contract, you can agree to accumulate it over 3 years. Now, I've seen employees take their employers to court because they say that they've accumulated vacation leave over 6 years.
I tell you, me know people who have the amount of days more than the days in the year.
Yes.
Honestly, so, okay, wow. Well, so what are you doing in that situation?
Well, right now, I try to help as much as I can employees and employers to make sure that they are contracting within the law. However, this is a discussion that has been open and that we're having at the moment in the legal field, and something that I hopefully we will see meaningful change soon.
All right.
Do we find people taking employers to court for violating their vacation leave? Like sending them the emails and they don't respond and they're actually penalized for it?
Oh, I personally haven't seen that.
Okay.
And I don't think that's an area that's heavily litigated. The example that I used about the right to disconnect, that's not something that we have in our legislation in Jamaica. So it's very unlikely that someone would take their employer to.
Oh, by the way,
court for that.
finally, everybody's supposed to get paid for leave.
Yes.
Period.
You're supposed
But it look like you're going to say but.
It's law, you know, it always have a loophole.
There is a but. You're supposed to take your leave within the year that it's earned. You can agree to take it, accumulate it over 3 years. Thereafter, not necessarily. You don't necessarily have to be paid for it.
What
However,
do you mean?
I mean, like, you lose it?
you can lose it. If it's not within your contract and it's not within the law, you can lose
But
it.
sometimes the very employer tell you can't get the leave. And you're there working.
And that's why you're supposed to have communication with your employer and employee, and you're supposed to agree on that.
Nicole, I'm not going to vex with the messenger here.
It's true, we can't, no.
Thanks for coming.
Thank
and
you.
very well explained, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
Have a brilliant weekend. Sit with us for a while. Attorney at law Nicole Taylor, Associate at Myers, Fletcher Gordon.
After the break, we are speaking with a mum and her 2 boys for our Celebrating Mum segment, ahead of Mother's Day this Sunday.